Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the January 15th meeting of the Rhinebeck Zoning Board of Appeals. We have all board members, so we have a quorum. It's always nice. Did everybody have an opportunity to review the draft meeting minutes for December 18th? I did. I didn't see any corrections or problems or anything. Anybody pick up anything?
You look good, huh?
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we adopt the draft meeting minutes for December 18th, 2024 as presented. Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. Passed. Okay. We do not have any new applications. A little unusual.
And before we get into the public hearing,
Sure.
I just want to let the public know, we usually try to post the resolutions that are prepared for tonight ahead of time. There was a slight delay on my part getting them to the town clerk. So we have copies for Traver, Rhinebeck Equine, and Brookmead, all on the table. If anybody is interested in grabbing those, they're just in the pile right up there.
All righty, so the first public hearing is on case 1069, the Floyd matter. Is there somebody here for that? Hi, Mark. Kim, would you like me to make a motion to open the public hearing?
Yes, please.
All right, I make a motion that we open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. All right. Mark, take it away. You know what to do. By the way, is there anybody here for this matter, the Floyd matter? Okay, the procedure we follow during the public hearing for any of the matters is we have the applicant go up, explain what they want, and we'll be asking them questions, but you guys get to ask them questions too. So if you have a question about any application, when they're done, feel free to come on up, state your name, and pose whatever question, concern that you have, okay?
Kim, could you actually put the site records?
The one that you just sent today?
Yes, please. So good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Kaminsky. I'm a consulting engineer in Rhinebeck, and I'm here representing Ben Floyd on an area variance application for a property which he owns at the end of Wiltshire Drive. It is It is part of a previous subdivision that was done on property at the end of Wiltshire Drive. It's at the end of the cul-de-sac. It is lot number 11, file map 11615A. The total property size is 28.3 acres. And so access is, as I mentioned before, at the end of Wiltshire Drive, at the cul-de-sac. And access is via a common drive for the adjoining lot here. And so there's driveway access here, there's a turnaround, and then into the property. And the property, this is the perimeter of the property. Located on the property is principal residence is located right here. This shaded area right here is the existing sanitary system that serves the house. Individual well located here. Also on the property is a New York State DEC wetland. This is right here, state wetland. Wetland boundary is right here, and then the 100-foot adjacent area is located right here. This wetland was recently verified by the New York State DEC, and it agrees with the previous delineation that was done. It was actually done in 2007, was when the subdivision actually occurred. This specific application is for consideration of construction of two things. One, Kim, if you could now zoom in a little bit, please. Once again, here's principal residence. There's an existing patio here. Here's the septic system. And so Mr. Floyd is proposing to construct a pool house right here, along with an in-ground pool and a patio associated with it. This pool house is, the intention is merely that, just a pool house, not a accessory dwelling unit. And you notice that I have delineated that and noted that on the plan, that it is not intended to be an accessory dwelling unit. And as I go through the presentation, we'll get into, I know some amended building plans and floor plans have been submitted to the town for consideration of this application. And, items were removed from the original application to coordinate with the zoning enforcement officer that it's not an accessory dwelling unit. But it, located in this pool house, it will have water and sewer. And so I actually prepared plans and submitted to the Dutchess County Department of Health for approval. It actually utilizes, there's enough capacity in the existing absorption area. And so it's just a septic tank, and there'll be a new water service, and then it'll actually utilize the existing absorption area. Those plans have been approved by the Dutchess County Health Department. So that is complete. And so, more importantly, this application is for, in front of this board, since this accessory structure is located in front of the principal residence. And so that's the reason for application and consideration by this board. If you could maybe go to some of those floor plans, we can go through that.
Yep.
Well, once again, here's a schematic overall layout of the proposed improvements. I should have noted also on the site plan that there's also fencing that's proposed around the perimeter of the new improvements, both pool and pool house. So as we go through these plans that were developed by now Kearney Contracting, I'll point out that specific detail. Next page, please. This is the first floor, and so there's you can see that there's an office space. There's also an entertainment space. There's a bathroom located right here, and that's it. Oh, the overall dimension of this proposed improvement of the structure is 20 by 40.
And Mark, you said that the office is only accessible from the outside.
That is correct.
And you took out the kitchen, there's no
Yes.
kitchen.
Yeah, the kitchen has been removed. Second,
I'm sorry, but you keep on saying it's an improvement. Is there anything there now?
no,
Okay, so it's a new.
it's a new structure. So storage space is, the second story is above that, and it's unconditioned and inhabitable. Roof plan. Elevation. And here are some other building elevations. There's a set of renderings that have been prepared, so I think those, I'll just go through these. Once again, here's the principal residence. There's a patio area here. This all exists right through here. And then here's the location of the proposed pool house, proposed pool, and patio. And then once again, it'll be sanitary, comes in this way to absorption field, and also water supply through there. And you can see it's got submission mechanicals that are shown in this location right there.
Are those all accordion doors? Open wide?
Is that correct?
Yeah.
I have just another view. Patio. Here we go. That's okay. You can just go through.
So one is 800 square feet and one is 700. On my notes, it says they're both, that there's two pools, but obviously one's a pool house.
That's right.
Is that 700 square feet or 800 square feet?
800 square feet on the pool. fairly detailed, and then here's, obviously, here's an aerial view there.
Nice renderings.
Beautiful. Yeah.
I think they were prepared by now. They did a great job.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, that's what we look for, something like that. We don't always get it, but they did very
They
nice.
did a great job.
They really did.
So, fairly straightforward application.
Mark, is the pool house footprint marked out, is it staked out?
It is,
Okay.
and so we staked out pool house, fencing,
Okay,
and the utility pad.
so we'll be going out there.
Yep.
Just wanna make sure.
Everything's safe.
Okay.
And the board received several comments from nearby neighbors. They were all in support. Nobody raised any objections.
Right.
And they're included in the record.
It had to be at least 5. So, all in favor? Questions, concerns?
Catherine, I know you had at the last meeting asked for a rendering of what it would look like from the driveway. I didn't really see this incorporated, but are you okay with these renderings?
Yeah, I'm fine with these renderings. I think it helps a lot in terms of seeing the relationship with the new structure.
Could you just turn on your microphone? No.
Oh, sorry.
Thanks.
There we go. Yes, I'm fine with this.
Okay.
Again, anyone in the audience have any questions, concerns? Okay. I think we have enough information here, and all the questions have been asked and answered. So I will make a motion that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. As you know, we'll come out and we'll do a site inspection probably arrange that in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
We have 62 days to make a resolution on this. We will do it by the next meeting, which is February 19th. Okay. February 19th. So you obviously don't have to be here, but we'll have a resolution done by the 19th. And we'll contact, should we contact you, Mark?
Yeah, just contact me.
We'll coordinate it through Gretchen.
Okay,
And,
great.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
And before we move on, does the board have any initial thoughts? I know you guys usually do the site visits to kind of formulate your thoughts, but any initial thoughts so I can start drafting a resolution?
It's fun. It's beautiful. It's very well done, and
It looks as if it's tucked away.
it's tucked away, yeah, and obviously we have to do the site inspection, but if the renderings are even remotely accurate, I think it's a fine project. That's my opinion, but what's the rest of the? Beautiful.
Yeah.
We're jealous.
Again, it's in the middle of 23, 26 acres, whatever, so I think,
It should be okay. Yeah, those renderings, I think, are the best I've seen in a long time. So, anyway. All right, so the next matter, on again for a public hearing, is it's case number 1070. Is it Portia Bach and Greg Schindler? Hello. So the same kind of thing, just come on up and take us through the application. And first I'll make a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay. So please state your name for the record and take us through the application.
Great, my name is Beth Eccles. I'm from Bear Architects, working with Greg and Portia on the project. They live at 26 White Schoolhouse Road. Already on the site, there are some accessory structures, and they're proposing to build 2 new accessory structures from the ground up. One is an accessory dwelling unit, a guest house for friends, family, and the other is an art studio. And they are just to the right of the main house if you're looking from the street. They total about 900 square feet, the 2 of them together. And they're set back from the road quite a bit. However, the variances we are requesting are for the total square footage of all accessory structures on the site to be above the allowable 1,500. We're asking for a variance of 990 additional square feet. And also to have 5 total accessory structures on the site above the allowable 3. And the 5 are an existing horse stable here, which is a kind of nice contextual historic structure that, in talking to the planning board, we've decided we'll preserve it, keep it on site. And therefore that's 1. 2 is this little shed back here, which is actually concealed most of the year by trees and foliage. And then the attached garage counts as 1, so it's 1, 2, 3 existing, and then proposed to add the 2 new structures. Go to maybe the next sheet. These are existing photos, so just showing where the site is. There's a little garden there now, but it's a pretty flat area, pretty high area out of the flood zone, out of the wetlands. And if we go to the next sheet, this is our proposed landscape plan. So we're going to have a path, a bluestone path, walkway from the main house deck to both entrances to both structures, the guest house here and the art studio here. And we're going to have some shrubs. I think we have an updated plan, but the shrubs are just going to be up against that structure there rather than at the end of the driveway. Floor plan, so in the guest cottage, there's the bedroom, 1 full bathroom, closet, and then a living kitchenette area here. And in the art studio, it's 1 big open space with a built-in along the wall that has a sink, which will have a sediment trap in it for collecting any sediment that comes along with doing ceramics in space. So that'll be taken care of there. And then this is a polished concrete floor, the floor drain, lots of windows, and the rest of this is just ancillary furniture, tables for
Is there a bathroom in the studio?
yeah. Just in the guest cottage here. And we're leaning toward, actually if you go back 1 sheet, just having 1 outdoor mini split unit that would be back here. Again, the driveway is here, the street is over here, so that would be pretty much out of view, and that would feed different zones, but in both structures, the mini split units for HVAC. And roof plan, foundation plan, we're looking at putting solar panels on 1 or probably both of the roofs. And there's a trellis that connects the 2 structures, so you can see that here in the elevations as well. Using board and batten siding to match the existing horse barn on the site. Same kind of dimensions. This building is actually very similar proportions to that structure. And some casement windows and fixed windows as well. A couple of exterior light fixtures. And if you go to the renderings, yeah.
Do you want to go to the, I think you gave us new rendering.
Yes. Yep, so this is the view from the street. This is existing, so this is where that garden is now. This is where we're proposing the 2 structures. This is that L shape you see. The closest end is that short end of the guest cottage. Go to the next one. We have some closer renderings. We're looking at 2 different paint colors, but both of them are very similar, just kind of a shade darker than the color of the house. It's kind of a muted sage green. So we're looking at this Benjamin Moore jojoba and another Benjamin Moore color, but this is, you can see the path. We're proposing to use solar-powered path lights along the path. Here are those shrubs on the side of the house. Lights over the doors and 1 additional light here. We have the other paint color just so on the screen it probably will be very difficult to even tell the difference. But we wanted to hope that, everyone would approve both colors so that we could have the option once we get to the mock-up phase.
Is each building 450 square feet? They're
Yes.
both the same?
both 16 feet by 32 feet in footprint.
Again, nice renderings. Thank you. It makes all the difference in the world when we can see, what it's going to look like and how it's going to be on the property. And we will be going out, as you heard.
Yes.
And is everything staked out?
It is,
Okay,
yes.
good. Good.
And there will be a new septic system for this. We're actually looking at the location sort of behind the structure now, between the tree line and the structures for the leach field and the new tank.
Is there a kill for the ceramics period?
No kill.
You're not firing?
Yeah, I think you guys said that the first, the initial.
Yeah,
look,
yeah.
It was consistent.
Yeah, I don't think much has changed since we last met with you guys.
Beautiful.
Really just refining
Right,
the
you're giving us
colors.
the renderings and the colors,
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, and I'll just show, this was the landscape plan, so you can see it.
Yeah, just kind of positioning those shrubs along the end of the house so that, in the winter, they're not going to look odd. The ones we had at the end of the driveway, we decided wouldn't necessarily
And I
look
know
so
your
nice.
ways back, how far back is it approximately?
It's 145 feet
Okay.
from the road. And we added a couple of notes. We are looking to resurface the driveway once construction is finished, and also re-roof the existing barn structure. The roof is pretty dilapidated. So we've added that to this. I guess for the zoning, maybe, not sure that.
All the information is helpful.
Yep.
And it's clear from the planning board's referral, I'm really happy that you're keeping that.
Yeah. So are we.
Questions, concerns? Is there any, oh yes, is there somebody from the, okay, come on
I
up.
do. Thank you very much. That's all right. I'll say it from here if that's okay.
Okay, so if you could,
Yeah.
just state, you're on camera.
Yep.
If you could state your name,
Sure.
your address, and whatever questions, concerns you
I
have.
would prefer not to state my address because of my relationship where I'd have to call the police. So
Okay,
I'd
well,
rather
how
not.
about your name?
Antonetta Sincata.
Okay.
Okay, so I do have some concerns. You said that you haven't been to the property just yet. Is that correct?
That is correct, we will be going.
So
out
I
there.
would appreciate it if you could go to the property first and take a look. I know it looks good on paper and there may look good in pictures, but I have concerns with it being as close to the road. The location of the spot is one where there are two double blind spots, one coming off of 308 turning onto White Schoolhouse Road. And so the property is very close to that point where it's very hard to see. There's also an additional blind curve across from their driveway. And as they know, I have running with my family or walking with my family, drive by there every single day to get to work or other things. And the concern is that there might not be enough visibility from those angles, both during construction as well as the proposed, perhaps additional traffic that might be caused if this is going to be intended for a studio or as a guest house. So I'm asking that the board take a look at that, please, before making a decision. I also have a concern about the proposed site being very close to the wetlands, where you call it a barn, it looks like horse stalls, it's kind of open, there's a gaping hole that's there on that structure at this time, perhaps it could get fixed. But also, there's water right by there. There are snapping turtles, there are various aquatic life, including blue herons that are there. I'm asking that you take a look and take that into consideration when you make your decision, please. Thank you. Also, when there is even lawn care going on, I noticed that the vehicles are parked on the side of the road. Again, it's a hazard because anyone who's turning from a 55 going onto a 35 road, it's very difficult to see that the cars that are there, the trucks, the construction equipment. I noticed that there's like a bobcat type of piece of construction equipment there already parked on the property. I am requesting that the construction vehicles be on the property and not on the side of the road. That road is very narrow, and again, there are 2 blind spots adjacent to there. I'm also concerned about the kind of noise and the extended time that might be needed to be building this. So I'm just asking if there's a time frame that we're talking about and when you propose to start and end the project. I think I would be able to figure that out once I see things, but if we could find that out, that would be great. Let's see. Is
Yes,
this
some
going
of
to
your
be used
concern-
for commercial
I'm
purposes?
sorry.
That was the other question.
Excuse me?
I was just wondering if this is going to be used for commercial purposes
Okay,
at all,
so-
since it's a studio.
The questions that you've asked, I'm going to allow you guys to address as best you can. And then I will, we do a site inspection. That's what we do. First, we like to get public comment before we go out on the site. So it allows us to, expand our kind of view of what we're looking at. We're not just looking at the application, but we're also thinking about the concerns of the public.
Thank you.
All right, so that's our policy and procedure. So we do that as a matter of course, and we will do that. Our area of investigation is narrow. Okay, we are here for variances. So some of the concerns that you have, while they may be valid concerns, are out of our purview. Okay, so, but some of them are, and we will absolutely address those. Okay, so with that said, perhaps you can address some of the issues.
Happy to answer some of the questions, and Portia and Craig feel free to chime in as well.
If I may, you mentioned the police. What's going on there?
Mr. Shipler has made some lewd and perverted comments to both myself and to my sons while I was walking, and as well as other neighbors. And so we have had to call the police. The state troopers went to the house and spoke with him. There were other complaints that were also made. So it doesn't relate to this exactly, but my concern is that I want to be able to make sure that there are safety things that are done, that this isn't going to detract from the community.
Yeah, you asked, so that's why,
Mm-hmm.
or you stated, that's why I'm asking.
Mm-hmm.
So the new structures, neither of them are for commercial use of any kind. Portia is a ceramicist. She has been going to a studio in town and creating pottery. She'd like to, in her retirement, focus on it more, and will be working in the studio creating her own pottery. It's not for her friends, it's not for anybody else besides herself. And the guest cottage is really primarily for friends and family. It's not going to be rented out, so at most there would be, the 2 of them who live there, and then perhaps a guest, their daughter, and 1 other car. It's not like people are going to be going in and out. I would also say there is some thinking that they would like to age in place in this house if they ever need an on-site caretaker for them in any capacity, that to have a place where that person could live on site would be ideal. So that's the thought for the guest cottage, and again, not adding much new traffic at all. It's really still only 3 people or 3 cars, I think, that would ever be there at one time. I think for construction, it's, a good point that you raised, that it's a narrow street, but they do have a fairly large driveway, and there's also actually a secondary driveway. You can see it on the overall site plan that goes up to the barn, where it's kind of like a secondary auxiliary drive that if there were to be multiple trucks there that day, they could park there. And I think maybe that's something we can speak with the contractor about, making sure that the trucks and vehicles are all off the street, because I think it should definitely be possible. The reason there was a vehicle there today was because we were doing the test pit for the new septic system. So we needed to get an excavator out there to do that test pit. But yes, here's the secondary gravel drive there. So it is possible to park vehicles there. I think that should hopefully alleviate that issue. I think the blind corner, I agree, it's a scary turn to make, but I definitely don't think these structures are in any way in that sight line. So I guess you're just concerned about the vehicular traffic.
Well, I'm also concerned about the wetlands. in
The wetlands, yes, yes. So
But
the reason
the-
we actually we were going to take the existing barn on the site, and because it needed a new roof anyway, their initial thought was, let's renovate that into these spaces that we hope to have. But because it is closer to the wetlands, and because it is also partially in a flood zone, it turned out that that wasn't going to be the best idea environmentally, and that hence why we've now proposed this new site for the new structures, which are much higher and further from those wetlands. But we've also reached out to DEC to get to request a wetlands review of the entire site, so they're gonna get back to us.
So they have not gotten back to you yet?
No.
Okay.
On their website, they don't show state regulated wetlands within 100 feet, but.
And that's going to be more planning board considerations. Again, our focus is very narrow, it's just on variances. The planning board does the more expansive review of the matter, and those kind of items will come up
So
there.
the other concern that I have is there is an adjacent property, it doesn't belong to Mr. Schiffler. But it seems like it's been continuous permit to build. It's off of White Schoolhouse Road, I think that's the actual address. So there's already an ongoing construction there. I noticed that the truck says Gentile, but it just is a concern that there's this constant construction that's going on. What sort of estimated amount of time do you propose for the building of these two buildings?
So they are also aware of that project that has been ongoing for years and years. They are not happy with it, and they intend to do this project expediently. I think the start date will be pretty much as soon as we get approvals, so into the spring, maybe March, April. And has William given you an estimated timeline for? A few months, but we can try to get, a more specific timeline from him once, we get a little bit closer.
How many buildings are you allowed to have per acre
Per acreage.
or per acreage?
Well,
For
really-
accessory
yeah.
structures, it's 3 new roofed accessory structures, which is why they're in front of us for a variance to get 5. If you're in a larger district, the HA20 or the RA10, you could get a special use permit, but they're in RC5, so they're taking a variance.
And I will throw in, and this is kind of a bee in my bonnet for the last 20-some-odd years I've been on this board, is that they count a garage, which is attached to the home, as an accessory structure. I personally think that's insane, but that's the way the interpretations have been in the past. I don't know if there's any law on that, that's just the way things have been
I think
interpreted
it's
here.
the way, I think it's within the definition, accessory structure includes
Yeah,
garage
I think it's
attached or
crazy.
detached.
So, you're saying, how many accessory structures, is that really an accessory structure, practically? I mean, it is under the law, but I would argue there's really 4. It's a common thing that comes here where people from out of this community, architects, engineers, et cetera, are surprised by the interpretation. So they're really, this is not an extreme kind of situation at all.
No, but when you look at the property itself, most of the acreage is towards the road, which is the concern. That's what the concern is. So I'm just asking that.
Well, it's actually a good thing that you have this set back so you don't see it
Right.
as much.
Right.
That's a good thing.
But I'm wondering how far, when you said what you did, to me, when I look at the property, I'm not sure that it's really all that far back, to be honest.
We will find out.
Thank
More will
you.
be revealed when we go out there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anything else, or?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Anybody else here for this application would like to be heard? We like to have input. It's good. A lot of times we don't have input, so if any input whatsoever, please, don't be shy. This is your shot. Anybody else?
I just got a question.
Okay.
This living structure, this additional living structure, that's allowed in that zoning, or is that part of the? Okay.
Yeah, they're in front of the planning board for a special use permit.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, for this size of the lot in this zoning district, it is a maximum 900 square feet for an accessory building unit, and then it requires the special permit and site plan process. But that's one reason why we wanted to keep it, the total under 900 square feet.
Just for the record, we did get a referral, I mentioned it, back from the planning board, and it was generally favorable, and especially with regard to the horse barn. So, there's no.
Oh, that was one other question that I wanted to address. The owners are planning to do repairs to the horse barn to clean up the holes and whatnot there, so.
That was
Are
addressed
there
against the
horses?
planning board. Yeah,
There are no horses.
There are no horses?
No. The
What would that be used
previous
for?
owner,
But because of too close to the wetlands?
Yes.
I got it.
And it's,
So storage.
so now it's gonna be storage. Yes.
and I believe that
Lawnmower.
in the application, and I think the planning board made reference to this in their own referral, when they came for pre-con to discuss these two buildings, they talked about removing that barn, but the planning board had opined that it was a nice feature and it looked well, and so they asked to keep it, and that's why it's there, and I think you would agree that it looks fine there too. So the planning board just kind of acknowledged that part of the reason they do need the variance is because that barn is still standing
Yeah.
per their request.
So aside from my beef with the interpretation of the garage, that was another thing that the planning board did note in the resolution they gave, or the reference they gave back to us, was that because this structure is remaining and not being taken down, that another variance was required. Thank you for bringing that up, so.
Can you just, I'm just curious, can you see that horse barn from the street?
Yes.
Can.
I think I had, this is just Google images. I think in their rendering they had it too, but this is like just so you can see this is the actual Google screen. I think it's right here, right? This
Yes,
is it right
that's
here.
it.
And that's it there?
I mean, it does, in real life, it looks closer to the street than it appears in this
The
view.
wide-angle lens.
Yeah,
Hey, can you
but,
zero in a little just so we can see?
yeah. I
Okay.
mean, it's, you know, it's for a barn, it's a pretty low structure.
Yeah,
We
right.
kind of always liked that, the proportions of it, we thought it was interesting, and that's partly why, partly why we have an L shape over here, is because of the L shape here. One, because we designed for that space initially, but two, because we just liked how it, provided kind of two long skinny bars that felt, not intrusive on the site and bringing lots of light. So it's not one huge barn, it's pretty small.
Okay. Last call. Anybody?
Yeah, you can always continue the public hearing if you think that's warranted, or
I
if
know.
you think that you have enough.
No, I think we have enough. I just figured I'd ask one last time. All right, any questions here? No. Okay. I'd make a motion then that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I know these things have been staked out, so we will be out there. Gretchen will coordinate with you probably in the next couple of weeks to see where they lay in the land and get a better idea of the topography of the whole area and, the roadways and everything. The wetlands, we do a full, complete site inspection. So we will do that. And we do have 62 days from today to render a resolution. We do so typically at the next meeting, which is on February 19th. We do it within 30 days or so. You don't have to be here, but if you want, you can. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
And thank you.
So I'll just ask the board again, I know that, especially for this one, given the comments, you're going to be taking the comments on the site visit. Do you have any initial thoughts, or would you like to wait until after?
I'd like to wait until after, just given all the questions and concerns. I mean, I think generally I'd say, yes, it looks fine to me, especially the renderings and everything else. But given the comments, I'd like to, I'm still finding, at least now favorable, but obviously we have to go out and do a site inspection, and that may alter it. We'll let you know if it does.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, you could just send me an email after you do the site visit with some of your observations.
Yeah.
And then I can restart on the resolution.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. The next and last public hearing is on case 1071, Ostro. Is there somebody here for that? Here you are.
Yes.
All right, well.
Good evening.
Okay, well, I have to do my little procedural thing, so I'd like to make a motion that we open the public hearing in the case of Andy Ostro, case number 1071. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All right. Please state your name and then just go through the application. Is there anyone here for the Ostro?
Ostro.
Oh, okay.
The applicant.
Well, the applicant, I was really talking about if there was any neighbors or anything like that, but I'm glad you're here too.
Would you like to start at the beginning, or would you like to just go through, you have submitted new renderings, I don't know if you want to start there, or you want to start with the site?
Maybe the site plan, we can move quickly through this. Before I start, Andy Ostroy, the applicant, has met with a couple of the neighbors who have submitted letters of support in checking in with Gretchen before the meeting started. She has received one of them. There's a second, and I can hand that to council to read.
Yeah,
or-
we're actually.
Yeah, just make it part of the record.
Put it part of the record, if you want to give it to Brendan,
Yeah.
give it to me, I'm closer to, whatever is easiest.
Very good. There's 2 letters of support.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Good evening, members of the board and the public. My name is Scott Dutton. I reside at 584 River Road in Rhinebeck. I'm the principal of Dutton Architecture located in Kingston, New York. Here tonight is Andy Ostroy. He is the owner of the property, 94 Slate Quarry Road. He is also a business owner in the village of Rhinebeck, part owner of Samuel's Candy Shop. The site located at 94 Slate Quarry Road is a 3.5 acre site. We've had it recently resurveyed. There is a shared driveway here to the west that leads to a property in the back here. Principal residence is located here. There's a pool house, and an accessory shed. The assessor has the existing building listed as a 4-bedroom home. It is actually a 3-bedroom home. We verified that when we went and measured the existing conditions. Andy is fortunate to have a very strong relationship with his children and his grandchildren. He has 4 children, 3 grandchildren. They are a very special multi-generational family. They spend a lot of time together here at the property. And as you might imagine, with that number of people, a 3-bedroom house is inadequate. What we are proposing is to add 2 additional bedrooms to the house, making it a 5-bedroom house, and a large communal 3-season dining area. So when the family does gather, you imagine a large harvest table and everyone can gather around it. Some internal reorganization of the house as well. It was surprising to us that we needed a variance when I first visited the site until we identified the shared driveway, because when you're out there and you'll make a site visit, you feel very distant from what is the perceived boundary of the site. Click through. More detailed plan, the 2-bedroom, single-bathroom addition to the west, the screen porch here. The question was asked at the last meeting, the distance and the encroachment, and I don't know if you can zoom into this. The bedroom-bathroom addition, the encroachment is quite de minimis. It's only this tiny little triangle here. It's the porch that encroaches more than anything into the side yard setback. If you look closely, we have identified those setback lines here. We absolutely explored other options to obviate the need for a variance. And as architects, we couldn't come up with a solution that made any practical sense whatsoever. The circulation from the main living areas back past the one bedroom and then to the master bedrooms on the west side. So it's natural to put the bedroom addition onto the west side. Additionally, you'll see when we get to the updated renderings that the roof lines are a little abstract here on the east side, making it very challenging to do an addition to the east. Existing walkout basement was a garage. Maybe doesn't, other than the one motorcycle in there? Two, okay. Go to the second plan. There's an existing bathroom in the basement as well, utilitarian. Wraparound porch, existing master bedroom here, bedroom there, family room. Proposed plans, freshen up of the basement down here, freshen up of the family room there, fine. And in that porch addition that you'll see in the next slide, underneath that, the opportunity to create a place to tuck the car in so that it's not sitting here out in front of the house, or at least one of them. That is not enclosed on the lower end. The enclosed porch addition here to the west, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom. We're still tinkering around with that layout, but that tinkering would not increase the area variance request.
And are you in front of the porch of
We
this?
are not. Existing building elevations, building section, aerial. This is the same presentation that we made last month. There's only one addition you can click right through.
Yeah, you want me to get to that? I think I have that up here.
We had yet to develop the 3D model fully. So, we just had a box in there that placed.
But I like these.
Yeah. So we now have further developed the renderings. Okay, and then there is a supplement with additional renderings.
Yeah.
But for continuity, that photosim package, that was the only page that was updated. Okay. This supplement that was submitted this week better depicts the two additions, the relationship of the private shared driveway and Slate Quarry Road, which I should caution all board members when you're out there. It's a tricky driveway to get out of. You have to have your wits about you, and you might want to make a right-hand turn to the east rather than.
Well, presumably you'll be out there reading us and you can remind us, or someone can.
Yeah.
By the way, it's all staked out in the general area where this is going to be.
I have not had it staked out by a surveyor, but I can, it's so simple, I can do it with our staff.
Yeah, just a general area so we can see.
Yep, absolutely.
So we just need the stakes that's all.
I'll make sure it's done, and I'll let Gretchen know what it is. Existing structure here to the left, same view proposed to the right. You see the two additions. It's a bedroom bathroom addition, and that's the dining room addition. A view from the west, looking back, depicting the two additions here, and the open carport underneath.
And that's the color scheme.
It's the first pass at it. Andy, do you want to opine?
Yeah, it's still kind of contemplating options, so haven't locked in on it.
The one thing I'll say is that it does represent the Worst case scenario being white, and I know that the board always wants to look at a worst case scenario in a photo sim with leaves off. Fact of the matter is, Andy needs to get buy-in from his children and grandchildren, and we want to present him with some things to consider.
And the reason we ask about color and things like that is, we have to see if it's going to blend with the rest of the neighborhood and things like that. But I mean, I have no problem with
Neighbors
white.
had
Yeah, I have no problem with white. White's a fine color, but I'm just wondering if that's the color or you're thinking about something else.
Yeah. Trying to remember what's around there.
Your neighbor's house is white, isn't it?
Yeah, white, I think.
Yeah.
But the two neighbors who share the driveway, they had their houses up the driveway. I told them because they were fine.
What I suggested to Andy is that we proceed through this process, and if he does want to modify the color, that we go see the CEO. If he's not comfortable making the determination, that we could always come back for him.
Yeah, it's just a component of what we look at, so it would not be a big deal if you were making it pretty probable. So it was really just a question.
You don't want to paint it black to be trendy.
Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
No, it may be darker, but not black. Window
Dark gray, maybe.
Or we could have sage green.
The other option that I'm contemplating is just more of a country rustic, darker.
There are additional views. Tighter view from the shared driveway, looking back at the existing structure, and the two additions to the west. Aerial view, and you can see what's going on here. Again, we did look at doing an addition over here, but with all of this going on with the roof lines, the existing circulation inside the house being over here, we would have had to rip the entire roof off and start over. And just the obvious place to add is to the west.
And then this goes into the view compilation that we just went
Yep.
I got a question, where's that, your septic field is gonna have to grow by a fair amount going from 3 to 5?
Unfortunately for Andy, the septic has to be entirely replaced.
I was gonna say, because how old's the original structure?
76, I believe.
Okay, yeah, because I know they, in the 80s, they beefed it up and with 2 more bedrooms, yeah, so, okay, you answered the question. Where did you put it anyway, I'm just curious.
through. Let me get through those surveys.
Same spot where it is currently, not the first time that this has ever happened in our career.
Yeah.
There was an approved septic system, approved subdivision. Apparently it was never inspected even though it was signed off, because when the engineer went out to evaluate the system, what's there doesn't bear any resemblance to the plans that were approved. And what's there is inadequate. So while if they had followed the plans that were approved, Andy would have been able to get the additional beds just by using low flow fixtures without any capital costs. Unfortunately, you'll have to invest in an entirely new septic system. Those plans have been with the health department for several months now, so we're hoping that we get our final comments. Dave Ryder, the engineer, can respond to those comments so that by the time spring comes around, that we have documentation necessary to submit to the building department.
Yeah, we got a comment back from the planning board, and I just was wondering whether you had talked with the New York State DEC about any wetlands concerns that they address. I assume you've seen this?
I think Gretchen sent it
Yeah.
to me yesterday. We have not.
I don't even know if there is an issue. They're not quite sure either. They just think that it's something that should be perhaps pursued and.
Yeah, with the planning board, so DEC just in January 1st made a lot of changes to the wetlands regulations, so it's more of just keeping an eye out for you, you know, if you need to check in with DEC just to make sure you don't need a wetlands permit.
Sure.
That's all that's the point of the comment, is that they just changed a lot of the wetlands regulations earlier this year.
I will direct that to David Ryder, our civil engineer, but I think you'll see when you get out there that while there are substantial wetlands on the adjoining property, that the topography and the distance to those does not, we don't have any concerns about it.
I think here's what this is now, that was one thing that did also change, is that DEC had wetlands map that also indicated if the wetlands were in their jurisdiction. One of the changes is that these maps are now informational, they're not jurisdictional. So one of the changes is that you really have to seek a jurisdictional determination to determine if you need a wetlands.
Well, and these are federal wetlands, not New York State wetlands, so.
Yeah, I think some of the federal would be incorporated. They lessened the acreage, so they've like gained about a lot more jurisdiction out of it.
Yeah, and as you can see, they're all on the adjoining property, except this little sliver up here that comes into the existing driveway. We're nowhere near that. This is Andy's property here.
So informational,
I'd address
What's
that.
the question?
so informational only?
In other words, like you can't like rest your hat on like, oh, here's the wetlands and you can see that it's not in there. So it's like, they were explaining it today, I did a webinar on it. And because the mapping can vary a lot, that's why they're saying
Sure.
it's not jurisdictional anymore. And you have to pretty much check in with DEC to make sure that
All
it's,
the time.
well, pretty much all the time.
Hire Mike Nowicki or somebody like that. to
But
go
you
out.
still need to check with DEC, so that's what that was one thing. That you can't say specifically, just looking at this map, oh, it's not within the wetlands. But you are right, these are federal wetlands in there, so it
And
might
they're
not,
all
it might not
off.
be. Yeah.
Of Andy's property.
Yeah, they still have to be a certain, septic field would still have to be a certain amount of footage, I think it's 50 feet maybe or something.
Yeah, we're, the
You're out
the
way out.
septic system on the approved map and the proposed map is right in here. I can forward a PDF of that to Gretchen so that you have it for your file.
Yeah, and the only reason I brought it up is because the planning board brought it up. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to give you it, had any contact, that's all, just follow up. Questions, concerns? No. Anybody in the audience? Have any questions, concerns? All right, well, I think we have enough information, thank you. Thank you for those renderings.
Yep.
Very nice. And we will be out in the next couple of weeks to check out, the area, and please have that addition staked out.
I will.
And with that, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing. Do I have a second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we have 62 days to render a decision. We'll probably do it at the next meeting on the 19th of February, but in the meantime, we'll come and visit probably in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll let you address the board again. I know that you will be going on a site visit, and this will all be
Yeah.
determined, but any initial thoughts?
This looks fine to me. And that's just my personal opinion. But again,
Agree.
I mean, it's,
It looks fine, yeah.
yeah, it looks fine. And it'll, I think, enhance the property, and obviously they're doing upgrades on the septic, et cetera, so.
On this one, Kim Wilson, you should photos of this one.
Great, thank you.
I don't think you can see it from Slate Park.
I doubt it.
No.
I think there was just, if you look
A
at
sliver,
the,
yeah.
there was like a
In
little
in
bit.
this winter.
The
Yeah.
nice thing about this time of year is we're able to see the worst case scenario.
Right,
so.
right.
But
Yeah,
I
under,
I know you're gonna be able to see
elevation.
much.
So what they explained at the last meeting was that you can't, this isn't what it's going to look like. This is just like indicating if you could see it, that's where it would be.
That's where it is.
But you
through the
can't
reeds.
really see
Right.
it because you can see like the reeds are taller than it. I thought there might be a
Looks
little
like
bit,
a dam.
might be like a little bit maybe on this
Yeah, there
side.
it is.
Well, we'll go
But
out
I,
there,
but I
we'll
think
have a better
it's
shot.
not, it's not gonna quite look like this, but that would be a good thing to keep an eye out when you're driving by. And again, this is like saying that this isn't what you're going to see, this is where it would be located if you could see it. That's how they explained it.
Yep, yep, yep.
And this is just so for the boards, these are just Google Earth images, this is that wetlands that they were talking about, the reeds and stuff. And then this is like their driveway. That was really all you could see on Google Earth at least.
That's
Most
the
of
driveway
it.
with the 3 houses.
Yeah, just those things.
Okay, that does it for our public hearings. Now we go on to old business, and the first matter that we have on is Traver, and we have a resolution for that, and I don't recall who was lead on
I
that.
think that's it.
It is you. Okay, and folks, what we do is, we have, as Kim mentioned, we have copies of the resolutions up at the table. Please take one. And because we put them out there, we only read the last portion of the resolution. They don't go, for example, they can go on for 10, 20 pages. We don't read the whole entire thing. You have it in your hands. It's out there in the public, and so we just read the last portion, the action portion of it. So.
Yeah, and just so, these are just some changes that I made. I confirmed with Scott today on our call, who was at the site visit, so I just updated that from what's on the draft page.
Scott, is it like where it's section 3 there?
Yeah, and now therefore be it resolved.
Yep. Oh.
It would be section 1. That's starts on page 5, I think.
Yeah, so now therefore be resolved, and then you go section 1, 2, 3, just go through. Instead of reading through the whole thing, it basically just sums it all up.
Okay, yeah, gotcha, okay. Just wanted to start at the right spot. I knew it was somewhere. Okay. Ready?
Yes.
Now, therefore, it be resolved based on all the facts described above, upon the reasoning described below as follows. Section 1, ZBA hereby grants variances requested by the applicant, finding that the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such a grant. The proposed garage is large but requires space to store all the vehicles, personal vehicles, boats, motorcycles, and collector cars to be stored in the garage. The applicant explained that they currently have some vehicles, motorcycles, in their house due to the lack of space they currently have and to avoid having them stored outside. This will allow them to store all vehicles properly, safely, and securely in one building rather than outside or inside their existing house. The neighbors have raised no concerns or objections to the proposed garage, noting that they will live on a private road, so they are familiar with the surrounding area and neighborhood. The garage to be placed in a logical location on the property. Section 2, granting of these variances is expressly contingent upon the following. The proposed structures must be constructed in conformity with the application and plan submitted. The existing shed shall be removed promptly following the completion of the proposed pole-barn garage. The applicant shall not use the garage for commercial purposes of an auto body shop or auto body garage. This shall not be construed as prohibiting the property from being lawfully used for any commercial use that is otherwise permitted in the RC5 zoning district subject to required approvals. Section 3, the granting of these variances shall also be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck of any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with the application and full compliance with Article 14, fee reimbursement of the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. These variances shall not be deemed granted until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. Section 4, the granting of these variances does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and/or approvals. Section 5, the area variances shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced within 1 year of this resolution.
Okay. Do you have any comments, concerns? I mean, we were just out there and it was all, you know, laid out and it made sense where the garage, whatever structure is going to be, the surrounding area. It was in conformity with the surrounding area, what was out there and everything else. It is pretty rural and obviously, you know, the private road and all that. It seemed to make sense where it was. And there was a lot of vegetation also all the way around. So I didn't have a quarrel with it, but I want to hear from my
I feel the same way. It's a place where it needs to be placed.
right. It made sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's also most convenient for the applicant, because you just drive straight in the thing. I mean, it's
Right.
perfect.
Well, our well is right in front of it, so we couldn't.
That's what we were wondering, the
Yeah.
well and the septic.
It was originally forward more, but the well, it makes sense, it was gonna be over more, and then with the surveyor, we agreed to
Push it back so that it was, how many feet from the well?
like 10.
It's 10 feet back from the well, and our septic is on the north side of the property, so
Right.
it's,
We figured as much, yeah. But it makes sense where it is because it's right at the end of the end of the driveway, so to speak. So
and to move it forward, then you block, if you can't see anything coming or going with it right in the view from being inside.
We're good.
we're good.
There's
All right.
another large barn right across the street, I mean, so I think it's,
Yeah, and that's why we go out and do the site. That's exactly the excellent point that Catherine made. And, you know, there's other structures, similar structures in the area. So thank you for that. All right. Would you like to make maybe a motion that we adopt the resolution?
Make a motion that we adopt the resolution.
As read.
So,
All right. Gretchen, would you be kind enough to?
Who was second, sorry?
Yeah, was there a second? I thought it was
Second.
Catherine. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Scott?
Yes.
Catherine?
yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Joe?
yes.
Brian?
Yes.
So my builder actually called today to see if they could start, like, in a week or two.
Earlier.
Well, we've given you the variance. I
Okay.
assume, are you guys not before the planning board for anything? I don't know if they are.
No.
So probably you're probably good to,
Just depends on Ed.
yeah.
You got the building permit and all that, right?
They kicked us over here before they would issue the permit.
So you gotta get the
You need
permit
that
and then
first
you can go.
before you-
Okay.
And that's probably,
So do I go back to them, or do you forward to them?
I'll send you this, and when I send you the resolution, it'll say contact Kimberly or no.
Okay, perfect. Any other questions?
Sounds good.
Okay.
all right,
Thank you very much.
All right, the next piece of old business, thank you, is Rhinebeck Equine. And a bunch of us went out there this last weekend. And Kim, did you have all the information you needed to finalize the?
Yes, I'll go through that in a second.
You were that was that's the final thing.
Yes, so I updated her on the new one, and I did that for this one as well. So these are the changes that I made from what is printed up there. One is I have Scott, Catherine, Richard, and Joe on the site visit. I also spoke with Scott today on the phone, and he had mentioned that there was a large berm that was kind of present on the site that really further mitigated any visual impact. So I just added a sentence here that said, on the site visit, it was observed that a large berm is present on the property that further reduces potential visual impacts of the buildings. And then I mentioned that again in terms of the first, if the variance will cause an undesirable change. I said that the buildings won't be visible, particularly with the existing berm. And then I added a sentence here from my discussion with Scott saying that the parking of the trailers, although not part of this application, may have a potential to be visible from those traveling along Route 9.
But there was screening.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's.
I just, something's not complete here. Parking of the trailers, 11 miles. Oh, yeah, okay, parking of the vehicles may be partially visible to those traveling on Route 9. However, the applicant indicated an intention to take this into consideration for their landscape plan to help further conceal any parked vehicles. The planning board should consider this in their review of the application for site plan and special use permit. And then they did, Rhinebeck Equine did submit a landscaping plan today. No. So it looks like they have a little bit of landscaping, I think, right around.
That's it.
Yep.
And currently, there's nothing, but,
So I just kind of ended, so it is in front of the planning board for site plan and special
Right.
use permit. Typically, the planning board does take into consideration landscaping, so I just mentioned Scott's concerns about the parked vehicles and that they've already had
Right.
indicated that they are planning on doing that.
that was, and I thought it was important to throw in the berm aspect of it, because, standing from the parking lot, you couldn't see Route 9 because you had that big berm, and you couldn't even see the historic house because you had those other structures and everything else, and that was important. And then also the fact that the paddock or whatever you call it is actually going to be sunken below the parking area, and further, at most you would see maybe the top of the roof, but I don't even think you'd even see that, but it's well below the existing structures.
Yeah, I think they had provided a rendering, and
I mean, it's a beautiful structure, it's too bad you can't see it, but it's not going to be seen from 9.
this was the,
I don't remember the berm.
The berm, if you look straight out, you cannot, there's this, you know where the historic structure is, the
The
historic
equipment
house?
house.
Yeah,
Equipment house.
behind it and over to the right, you're looking straight at that house.
this was the area, I don't know where
Yeah.
it is.
If you're standing, I was noticing as you're standing in the parking lot, looking out towards 9,
Yeah.
you couldn't see 9 because there was this berm in front of you. If your back was to the structure, we go from your left to your right, and you actually couldn't see the historical structure that's right on the roadway.
Well, maybe because we were higher on the parking lot.
No, but there was that berm that separated us, because it kind of dipped, remember? Because you had the 3 areas where the horses go,
Right.
and where that other structure that go in the middle, that dipped, and then on the other end, there was this kind of rocky berm thing straight ahead.
To the left of the equipment house.
To the left of the equipment house,
Okay.
yes.
Right, I got
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was just the rendering that they had provided. You can see that this is the new paddock. So like you said, it's pretty much just top roof line.
Yeah, so much longer. So, I think I was the one assigned to this, if I recall correctly. Yes. I was, all right, well, I guess I better get reading. All right, so, there weren't any changes to the last portion?
The only last portion, you have it highlighted here, so in section 2 where we talked that it, in conformity with the plan, subject to any additional conditions from the planning board, I just included, but not limited to, the proposed landscaping plan. Again, just drawing their attention to that.
Okay, so after permanent. Okay. All right, this is the resolution in the case of Rhinebeck Equine, case number 1041. Now therefore be resolved, based on all of the facts described above and upon the reasoning described above as follows. Section 1, the ZBA hereby grants the variances requested by the applicant, finding that the benefit to the applicant outweighs the detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the neighborhood or community by such a grant. The structures all serve a purpose for the veterinary practice and provide and provide the necessary space required for its operation. The signs, while numerous, provide safety features and direction for those driving on the property. The larger sign at the entrance will provide greater visibility to clients, particularly those with horse trailers safely turning into the property. The structures are situated well within the property. Missing something here.
No, that's the end of the sentence.
Okay. Oh, property, period, okay.
Number 2.
All right, number 2, section 2. The granting of these variances is expressly contingent upon the following. The proposed structures must be constructed in conformity with the application and plan submitted, subject to any changes or conditions that may be imposed by the planning board during its review for site plan and special use permit, including but not limited to a proposed landscaping plan. Section 3, the granting of these variances shall also be expressly contingent upon the applicant's full payment to the town of Rhinebeck of any and all fees and escrow deposits due in connection with this application in full compliance with Article 14, fee reimbursement of the town of Rhinebeck zoning law. These variances shall not be deemed granted until all such fees are paid in full by the applicant. Section 4, the granting of these variances does not absolve the applicant from having to secure any other required permits and/or approvals. And then Section 5, the area variances shall be null and void unless the proposed construction is commenced within 1 year of this resolution. Comments?
I think you hit it. I think you hit it.
Okay.
I think you got it.
Kim got it. She did the
Well,
resolution.
per your discussions.
No, I mean, it makes perfect sense, and the new structure is actually quite attractive. It makes sense as a place for the horses to go after whatever procedures and that kind of stuff, so, and it's so far back, it was well done, so.
I like the concern that the planning board gave about why do you have to have another driveway in there? And not that I like their concern, but the reason was because of all the parking and the horses have to come through and there's exciting the horses. So just everything they said made perfect sense.
It did, yeah.
So, yes.
And I like that too. I think I mentioned that to Kim as well, that, you know, because I asked that same question too, and I had this little jog off of it. It made for safety for the horses and everybody else, and, yeah, no, it was well thought out.
Yeah,
You can
I
tell
think
that they had some experience with horses.
Yeah. Yeah, you think?
Yeah, I did. So, anyway. All right, if I did nothing else, I make a motion that we adopt the resolution as read and with the corrections that Kim pointed out up on the board there.
Second.
Second, Richard. Gretchen?
Scott?
Yes?
Catherine?
Yes.
Richard?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, and then next is case 1061 Brookmead Appeal. And I think I'm lucky enough to be on that one as well.
You are.
I think so.
It is. Let me just make sure. I don't want to steal anybody else's. It is me. Better go to, yeah, right. Don't know me very well. Anyway, all right, so first I just wanted to say, before I read this, that, you know, it's 28 pages. This is a very extensive resolution, and I think Kimmy did a great job. I know I expressed that before, but I want to express that publicly, not just privately. I like the fact that there was a lot of digging into the historical context of what occurred in 2017 and what occurred before that and after that, leading up to you know, the situation that brings us here today. You know, I know a lot of the discussion echoed some of the things I said publicly, and, you know, so that made me feel good, but also I think it took the concern it took into account, the resolution took into account a lot of the concerns other people had as to not having this being too expansive, but maybe not being too restrictive. And while I understand that we have the power to make quote-unquote corrections to what the planning board may have done in 2017, I personally did not feel that was appropriate, and that's what's reflected here. And I just hope that this resolution gives some clarity to what's allowed and when it's not allowed, and so hopefully we will have less issues between the town and Brookmead. I mean, everybody loves Brookmead. It's a wonderful place, and I hate to see the town of Brookmead having tension when there really shouldn't be. So anyway, I think you did a great job, and with that, I will read the resolution. Now therefore be it resolved, based upon all the findings of facts and conclusions of law described above, and upon the reasoning described above as follows. Section A, Brookmead accessory uses must be clearly and customarily incidental and subordinate to the principal use, to the assistance and care of seniors and adults, and the activities and programs must be directly related to seniors and adults that either reside on campus at Brookmead or would be participants of the adult day camp facility. Section B, Brookmead accessory uses also includes the community services specifically identified in the 2017 application to the planning board. These are strictly limited to meetings, seminars, gatherings, and public activities to those organizations explicitly stated in the applicant's application in 2017. These organizations are Rhinebeck at Home, Leading Age, Office of the Aging, Omega Institute, Rotary Club, Rhinebeck Area Chamber of Commerce, Dutchess County Chambers, CVS Flu Clinics, Yoga Programs, Health and Wellness Programs, Dutchess County Board of Election Voting. Section C, the Good Egg Celebration, which is what brings us here today. The Good Egg Celebration is a public activity for Rhinebeck Area Chamber of Commerce, which is identified as a community service permissible under the 2017 Planning Board approvals. Section D, we therefore disagree with that portion of the zoning enforcement officer's notice of apparent violation determination that such event was not permitted. We overturned the CEO's determination that the Good Egg Celebration was in violation of the approvals granted. Section E, we state for clarity that this decision by the ZBA is an interpretation answering questions about the approvals previously granted for the property which were raised by the zoning enforcement officer's notice of violation, and the appeal to us from the determination by the applicant. Our decision does not change the approvals granted to the property originally granted on July 17, 2017. Comments?
Having read through this, and I think this is available for everyone, obviously there's a lot of detail in the background about that it's not expanding those
Right.
uses either.
Right.
So there's some very specific limitations, I think, on what can
Right.
property. That's important to point out.
I guess my thing was, again, I've said it a million times, I could not see taking away something. Arguably, these things were not permitted, but they were permitted in 2017, and I'm not going to take away something even though allegedly, right, not allegedly, we do have the jurisdiction to do that. It's not fair and it's not right, in my opinion. And this building is very important for the community for all of these activities. So I think it's important that they be allowed. The other thing is that I liked again, getting back to the historical aspect of it, this was all set forth very openly in multiple documents before the planning board, that community events were going to be conducted here. My only concern is that this is not, this is not a place where you have commercial activity for profit. This is not where you're going to be having, wedding showers and all that kind of stuff. And this could be expanded to be much more than just community stuff. But I think it's crucial, not crucial, but it's very important to have this venue for community events that are set forth. It was great to go there to do early voting just recently. And it's great, and I've been on the property multiple times for the Chamber of Commerce. I've said that before too. Full disclosure, that I was president of the Chamber for a couple of years. We had events that are there, and it's important. So I think the resolution, I hope the resolution gives a little bit more clarity, I just hope it does that. And maybe, maybe it won't cover every single situation. There may be situations. I just hope that there's a better dialogue, and I'm not blaming anybody, but to me, communication is the most important thing, and I just hope that the town and there aren't these issues that come up. And maybe this is a blessing. This notice of violation, which we found was not appropriate, gave us the mechanism to hopefully clarify things a little bit more, because this has been ongoing for a while. But Hope Springs determined. What say you?
I'm listening.
But
I
just
think-
to clarify, the reason that we did not think the notice of we didn't agree with the notice of violation was because they were specifically listed in
Yes.
that paragraph in 2017.
The analogy for me was it's kind of like a pre-existing non-conforming use. You can continue that if it's a but you cannot increase it.
Yeah.
And to me, it was similar to that. It became kind of like it's a non-conforming use that was granted by the planning board. So you can't take. I'm not going to take that away. It's not right to take that away. But it shouldn't be expanded. And that was the reason. So.
Yeah, the violation for the good egg award was obviously we was going in the wrong direction. It could have been good for another venue maybe, but that one was wrong. This was as far as I'm concerned, I mean, I think I've been here for about 4 years. This is the toughest case that we've worked on, that I've worked on, and it was very, very trying for all of us. But I think the bottom line, I think you listened to us and you did a really great job. But I think the main thing that I get out of this is that it should not be used as a special event venue. That's what we truly believe. It's been used for many things pertaining to our community, which is great, and not necessarily all of them connected to the home and the actual use of it. But a special event venue is not an accessory use to Brookmead's principal use of a senior living facility. And I think that says it right there. So it was very trying, and I think we did a good job.
She did a good job.
Yeah.
Again, for your guidance.
And by the way, as I'm passing out accolades here, I also want to commend Sean Kemp and the Brookmead community for being very gracious. And I love the support. I wish we got 200 people or whatever it was all the time. But you guys were great, and we learned a lot about Brookmead. We admired Brookmead before. We admire it probably more now. It's a great place. It's a great space. And again, you guys were very understanding and granting us more time so we could really, believe me, we worked hard on this thing. As Richard said, probably harder than, I think the last time, well, none of you guys were probably here, like the gun club situation. This was a rare situation.
That was before me.
That was before everybody.
Well, we appreciate your efforts
Yeah.
and the time and consideration that you gave to the issues. Can I speak or?
Well, let's, probably, but not officially, well, I don't know, I'll let you deal with it. We're really not, what we're supposed to be doing is, I probably went too far because of the special nature of this thing. I just wanted to make it clear on the record that you guys were great, you were very gracious, and I wanted to, make it clear that we all put just tons of time into this thing. We hope we've improved the situation. Maybe we haven't, but we tried hard. And So, with that said,
I do have one question. Though.
Yes.
When you were talking about visiting, I did have a section in there about, I know you had visited it, but I didn't know the date. So I don't know if you remember.
August 1st.
August 1st?
Oh.
It was a Saturday.
I know I was with, what's his name here?
And that's what I was going to ask, who else was
It
there?
was Brian. Brian and I went there.
Oh, I was on the phone. Yes, I was sick.
Yeah.
But I went
I'm
by-
just going off my head.
It's something around there.
I can say on or about.
On or about.
And then maybe, I don't know, Gretchen, did you send an email out or anything?
I don't think so, I think you guys said,
Okay,
that.
we can try to confirm that. I can even just say that you
Yeah.
just, I can even
On
just
or
say
about,
you just.
on or about
yeah, you
school.
just- you just-
It was
August 3rd?
August 3rd was a
August 3rd.
Saturday.
Okay, great.
It was a nice sunny day, I remember that.
And I mean, I went by later and looked maybe and go there, obviously, but. So, just that day.
That counts. A drive-by counts. All right, so.
So I'll make that change
all right.
for the final.
Okay. Anyway, so I make a motion that we adopt the resolution as read,
And with that change.
and with that one change. Unless, I think we've said enough, but does anybody have any?
Well,
one last?
I was only going to add, like, it's not exactly that topic, but should we request the town board fix the zoning there? Like, I mean, or is that way beyond that?
I made a mention in there
Yeah.
that it's in the town boards, so what I said was is that the ZBA is quasi-judicial, so they have to look at the record and the zoning law. They're not policymakers, that is in the town board's authority. So I did kind of mention that as that was a discussion as a possible avenue, but I agree with Scott that that's not really it's not the ZBA's purview to request it. The applicant could certainly have some avenues to ask for a zoning change or something to that effect, but
Well, I
you're
think
good.
the person who said it best was Michael Trimble, who said that the way to get this thing really straightened out is for the applicant to go and try to get an amendment to the town law, in front of the town board.
I think the perfect rebuttal was mine as well.
Yeah,
There
but
has to be some political will on the other side.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I agree with Michael, that's the way to really fix this thing, is to have the town board have something in front of them and
Sure.
hopefully
And
make whatever amendments are appropriate.
If I may, just
Yeah.
before you vote, there was one thing that popped out to me, and, you know, I do appreciate all the work that Kim and the board put into it. Regarding the SAS luncheon, that is a free luncheon that's open to senior citizens in our community for them to come. There's no charge involved in that at all. So I just want to be clear about that. And it's a program that is like core, not only to the residents there, because they interact with other residents that are senior citizens in our community, but that is not a profit generating.
I think we had mentioned that the SAS was acceptable because of its
But
connection to.
but you said if it was open to the public, that it wouldn't be. And I just want to be clear that that is something that other seniors are invited to come to, there's no charge involved. It's just purely older
Right.
people being able to congregate and have soup and a sandwich.
And that's a nexus to, there's a nexus there,
There's
obviously.
certainly a nexus, but I just,
Would you like me to add that SAS is open to seniors?
seniors, yeah.
Okay. I think the point I wanted to make in stating that was that it wasn't going to be an arts cafe issue
Correct.
that might affect.
And I agree with where you were going with that, but when I saw that one thing, I know how important that is to the
Okay.
residents. I just wanted to get that. And I don't mean.
No. I'm glad you brought it
I
up. I
don't
mean,
mean to
that's,
interrupt the flow of the meeting.
No.
Well, that's not, if the board would like, I can
yes,
just change it so that I can.
let's make
say
that very
something.
clear, crystal clear.
Nexus on page 17 is right.
I'll do a word search for, sure.
Thank you.
Like, again, my point was that it wasn't for anyone in the village to come.
Yeah.
I was under the impression it was for seniors. I don't know if the adult day camp is still happening or what's going on with that, but I will make that change.
Thank you.
Assuming the board is okay.
No, absolutely, and there's an absolute nexus, listen, we make mistakes, and we'll correct them, but that was not the intent, and we can always, constructive criticism constructive criticism is always appreciated.
Can I just ask about, am I allowed to ask? 'Cause, it depends on the outcome of this conversation, or I might have to cancel something next month. The blood drives are not allowed, or?
So, I know
Blood
that,
drives?
yeah, I know that that was something that was listed on your list that you had provided that the board had requested. I did not, in the application, the 2017 application, blood drives were not included.
Okay.
The way I had drafted it was that it wouldn't be allowed, even though there's obviously a need for the community, it's a community event, but because it wasn't specifically allowed, like voting was specifically mentioned in the 2017, that was my intention in writing it, but again, this is for the board's consideration.
It's one of our pre-2017 activities. We've done that in the inside the facility.
Yes, I know you had provided that 2017, again, it was just, we had to just look at the record.
Just because we have it scheduled every other month, because we're one of the leading blood drives in this, but between us and other
It's not a
benches,
special event.
make a huge impact with the blood drives.
Those blood drive is not.
So yeah, but
It's
it's
community.
I just got to know.
Community
I gotta
oriented.
cancel this next month.
And that again is,
Well,
there's
the
no
board's having
money
a discussion
generated.
about it right
Yeah.
now.
Obviously.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, I know it wasn't specifically, but there's been a course of conduct. And I guess maybe that's the other thing, there's been a course of conduct. This happens, what, every other month, you're saying? I mean, see, this is the problem with it, because there's so
I
many
know, and I'm
different
not
things.
trying to open up the
No,
floodgates.
but that's an important thing. Blood drives are important.
Without a doubt, without a doubt.
That's a big deal.
It's easy access, they can't get to it in the hospital, there's no parking. People have a schedule, it's just.
But,
I think it fits in with the health and wellness activity and need.
Community oriented, yeah.
Well, again, it's not just the way, because I remember we had that big discussion about the fine line between it, but Catherine's suggestion that it's part of the health and wellness.
Yeah, healthcare.
so it's already, what are you pointing to in
I think it might just be able to be removed from the findings of fact. But I think because that's where it's excluded. Blood drives are specifically excluded.
Well, I think the better course of action would be to specifically include it, so that it won't be any questions about it.
If you want to do it that way, or I was going along.
I think I would prefer to include it and make it a
Yes.
specific thing,
Yes.
so there's no
Yes.
ambiguity has led us here. So
I'll include it as a
include it, but that's too important for that.
Right.
Okay. So I will add the change about allowing SAS to be open to any senior,
Right.
and then the allowing blood drives.
Blood drives.
I think,
I think both of those.
I think the general consensus among the board, which I think is reasonable, is about the kind of commercial enterprise type thing, where like, that's obviously not acceptable. But some of these other finer things, I just wanted to clarify. Because they're not commercially related at all.
Right.
Purely for the benefit of the community at large.
The two items you brought up are easy,
Yeah.
so.
And nothing in this resolution, just to be clear, impedes our ability to fundraise, because that's obviously.
I would say fundraising for Brookmead.
For Brookmead.
Yeah.
Right, because I know Star Library had asked, because they were going to be using it or something
Yeah.
like that, but.
Yeah.
I think that we had discussed that if you have the space to fundraise for yourself, but I think that it has to be very,
Connected.
and like the gala, for example, that's an annual gala. I know that we did, the CEO did contact me, they did get a comment on the gala that had happened, but we had discussed that at the meeting and said that, hey, if you have the space, it's fair, but I just would say, I wouldn't say renting out tables for the craft fair would be considered a fundraiser, even though the funds raised from renting out the space is benefiting Brookmead. You see what I'm saying? It's just, you can't just say just because you're raising money that's going to the foundation, that's allowed. I think that's what we were trying to explain.
The gala, makes sense, and I drove by there at 9 o'clock. I know there was a complaint, but I don't know why.
Yeah,
You
but
know,
it's-
there's plenty of other noise from the soccer fields. Anyway, I'm just saying that I think that's very related, so. And that's clearly, yeah, I don't have a problem with
So what I would recommend, Scott, is let's make a new motion
that. Okay.
for adding, so I would make a new motion to adopt the resolution as read with the changes to include on SAS
SAS
and blood
And
drive.
the blood drive, right. Okay, so I'm afraid to ask, oh, I thought you were gonna have a comment.
We just
No,
did.
no.
Okay.
I thought we were-
Okay, good. All right, so I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution along with the addition of including SAS and blood drive. Okay,
Second.
second? Gretchen?
Scott,
Yes.
Adam,
Yes.
Richard,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and Brian.
Yes.
All right, well, hopefully this will solve some issues. I will help.
thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now the next thing we have is rock pledge, and Kim, I'm not sure what you want me to do. You want me to open the
Yeah.
public hearing on that? And
No,
explain-
so for rock pledge, we had talked, the CBA had made a motion to schedule it for tonight. There was a timing issue, and the public notice didn't go out, so that's why we're not having a public hearing tonight. But what I would recommend is you make another motion to schedule the public hearing for, because it hasn't been opened yet. So I would just take another motion to schedule the public hearing for February 19th.
All right.
And I talked to Mark, Sean is here if you have any questions for him, because he also represents Rock.
Oh, you're here for that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm on that matter, but
Okay.
it was my understanding, basically what Kim was saying about it having to be renoticed for February. But if there's any questions,
I think there's been some minor changes right there since the last time around, but it doesn't matter. I mean, it's,
So it's still in front of the planning board for seeker. They have, the planning board they're working on a draft for part 3 of seeker. It's pretty large, but it's a large project with a large history. So that's currently being reviewed. So they have a draft, they have not adopted it yet, but it likely will be on there. It's going to be on the agenda for Tuesday's meeting for the planning board. I don't know if it's going to be adopted then or not. As you know, the ZBA can't act until the seeker is
Right.
done, but we're just trying to kind of keep this in motion. And so with the public hearing would be February 19th. Could be seeker done by then, could not be, I'm not sure.
all right, so I'll make a motion at this time that we put the Rock Ledge matter, which is case number 978 Hudson Valley Rhinebeck LLC Rock Ledge, on for public hearing for February 19th, 2025. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's on for the 19th, so.
excellent.
And the only thing I was going to ask the board, so this is, so typically, the way that the structure works for the ZBA is you have your initial meeting, you have your public hearing, and then you guys give direction, and then I draft a resolution for the next meeting. Since this has been kind of shifted a little bit, late a month, I didn't know if you guys had any initial thoughts on the Rock Ledge project you can give me. I can start drafting a resolution. Of course, it's subject to public hearing, if that makes sense.
Well,
I'd have to revisit it.
yeah, well, I don't know that, I think 3 of the board members probably were not
Okay.
involved.
Yeah.
I will tell you, huh?
Were we born
It's only 10 years.
You know,
only 10
just because I'm the
years,
oldest
10,
guy
12
here.
years.
No, you're probably older. I don't know.
I'm probably,
Anyway, it's a wonderful project. I was totally for it before. I was wowed by the structures and everything else. I thought it was fantastic, and then it dropped off the face of the earth, which is
this is
unfortunate.
the old
Yes,
Daytop.
daytop.
daytop, yeah.
And
It sounds good to me.
taking
My initial
the
thought
old
is
structures, and
no
you
brainer.
basically, I think it basically boiled down to you could only have, 4 units in each
Yeah, so-
structure, but one they wanted to put 6 and one they wanted to put 2 or
Yeah,
something like that.
it's an adaptive reuse
Yeah.
of the older buildings. You are allowed 4 in each unit.
It sounds
They're doing a total of 8 for the
Sounds
2, but
great.
instead of 4 and 4, it's 6 and 2.
Yeah, and then they had new structures, but it's a beautiful site and a nice project. But
Very well.
I actually did the site inspection 1,000 years ago, before you were born. And
Will we go out again? I mean,
we can go out again. I mean, and you guys may want to go, especially.
I've been there with Cat, actually.
Oh, okay, all right.
You know,
Wait, Kath, were you on the board or? Okay.
Yeah, I think actually it was just Catherine and you.
It was just the
were-
two of us.
That was early,
2020.
I was yeah.
2020.
It was pretty extensive site inspection and it was pretty impressive, so.
I think it
You didn't
was-
forget that one.
I think the board consisted of Catherine, Scott, Richard Macaluso, Dave Tobias, and
I took Dave's.
Tim Allen.
Richard with
Macaluso.
I think it might have even started in 2019. I think the public hearing was started being adjourned in 2020.
Okay, well, hopefully it gets past the finish line. Yeah.
So I'm guessing, so it sounds like the board probably wants to have a public hearing before drafting the resolution.
I would think so, and I think some folks
Absolutely.
probably want to go out and see the site.
All right, I
And
just
and
wanted
I
to
think
just
it
give you
warrants
that
it because it's such a
opportunity.
big thing. It's 1 month is not going to be a big deal after a delay of what, 3 years or however long?
And by the way, they also have to still go through site plan at the planning board too. I think they're trying to work in conjunction with that, but anyway. Yep.
I anticipate we'll have people.
I'm sure we'll
Why don't you?
have plenty of friends. I'll have to give my speech.
Yes. Thank you all again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Have a great day.
And thanks for those comments, those were very
No,
helpful.
thank you. Yeah, I didn't want to.
No,
Thank you.
I'm glad they were made.
Thank you.
On a different topic, did you guys ever do anything with Soho, with that, with the mansion that Soho was looking to buy?
Grassmere.
Grassmere?
Grassmere, yeah.
No.
They didn't need any area variance.
Oh,
so
because I
don't
know it's a
believe-
huge piece of land. and I was
Is that
there.
still ongoing? Do you
Have they done anything?
I believe that they got, I think they got approvals
It
from the
must be
planning board.
17 years.
But yeah, I think they just asked for an extension, right? Yeah, what is it, the
They're still
DOH?
waiting on the village stuff.
Oh, the village is, yeah. But I did get approved and they just been asking for an extension.
I'm just curious, that's all.
Anything else, Kim?
No, that's it.
Motion to adjourn?
Oh, okay.
All right.
Third,
All in
fourth,
favor? Fifth? Sixth? All right.
Thank you.